Hello and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about Shadowheart's mysterious box, what it might actually contain, how important it actually is, and of course, how to possibly open it. First and foremost, this thing is an artifact of Githyanki origin. However, Shadowheart got her hands on it, and why it's so important to her is probably one of the biggest mysteries of early access. But as things stand, I'm willing to bet she just picked it up after the Nautiloid crashed and thought it was important. As far as I can tell from digging around in game, the most information we gain about it is the fact that it's, of course, of Githyanki origin, but also that it was some kind of Githyanki weapon that belonged to their queen, Vlaakith. When we meet with the Githyanki patrol, if done correctly, we find out that the Lithids who kidnapped us also stole this artifact from them, and that it's the very thing they've been looking for.
A Geich vessel has fallen from the sky, Lae'zel. Thieves aboard have taken a weapon most precious. It is polyhedric in shape and inscripted with the sacred runes of our people. Take word to your creche. You are to join our search.
Aside from the patrol, the only other scenes we have with the artifact is when we first notice Shadowheart messing with it, and a second time when any of us attempt to open it. As far as I can tell, this artifact might be the whole reason the Githyanki Dragon Riders attacked the Nautiloid we were in at the start of the game. And from what I can find, Lae'zel has absolutely nothing to say about it. Although I was initially a little let down that Shadowheart doesn't have any apparent connections to the artifact, this didn't stop me from going down a rabbit hole of Githyanki lore, searching for any scrap of information that might tell us more. Let's start with some lore context. Vlaakith is the current ruler of the Githyanki race and has held her position for over 1,000 years due to becoming a lich. Prior to that, every queen held the title of Vlaakith, and it was passed down their bloodline for 157 generations ever since their people first freed themselves from the Lithids. And since they don't age or need to eat while living in the Astral Sea, each generation of Vlaakith already experiences a very long lifespan to begin with. Now, I won't be going into detail about everything she's done as queen. All you need to know right now is that her ultimate goal is to ascend to godhood and to usher in a new age for her people. Their main city, Narath, also known as the City of Death, was built upon the corpse of an ancient dead six-armed deity only known as the One in the Void. Over the course of the last 1,000 years, she spent all that time searching for the spark of divinity within that body, and has been repeatedly casting wish spells to capture that spark in an attempt to ascend to godhood. At this point, she is pretty much a mad lich whom some of her people think will lead them all to ruin if she continues, especially since the body of the One in the Void experiences massive tremors each time a wish spell is cast, becoming worse and worse every time it happens. Now that we have that established, this is where we start to guess what might be contained within the artifact. Despite Vlaakith being an immensely powerful lich that would give a team of legendary heroes a run for their money, she only ever kept two artifacts on her person at all times, the Crown of Corruption and the Scepter of Ephelamon. The crown was worn by the queen for 900 years now and contains the spells of Energy Drain, Mass Suggestion, and Control Undead. In addition to that, the crown passively allows the wearer to transform any corpse killed by Energy Drain into 3 different options, 2 different types of undead, or just Death's Ichor. Although it's a possibility the Lithids could have stolen the crown since it's the symbol of her authority, this is the least likely of those options. The Scepter of Ephelamon seems more promising. It's a ruby-encrusted dragon-shaped scepter given to the first Vlaakith when she and their founder, Gith, both traveled to Hell and petitioned Tiamat for aid. Although it is a symbol of the partnership between the Githyanki and all red dragons, it does contain actual power. The wielder has total control over all red dragons within half a mile of the scepter and becomes immune to all fire and fear effects. Its final ability allows the caster to summon a very old red dragon through a gate spell. Although it's extremely hard to destroy, if done so, the pact between the Githyanki and the red dragons would dissolve completely. Only those dragons who became truly loyal to their riders would choose to stay freely, and those dragons who are directly under Vlaakith would only stay out of pure fear for her power. This seems more likely to be inside of the artifact, since stealing it and attempting to destroy it would undoubtedly deal a major blow to the Githyanki as a whole. Although these are the two primary leads for the moment, one thing I did learn is that Vlaakith, with all of her power, can actually create wondrous items. Things like the Hand of Vecna, a Moonblade, or the Ring of Winter. Her skill at creating these objects surpassed mortal levels, and based on her possessions in the campaign, it looks like she can make magical items up to +8 in power. It's possible this box contains a wondrous item that she created, some powerful weapon she might have had plans for. And last, in an even further stretch of possibility, the wildest guess I can come up with, the artifact might contain the spark of divinity she was looking for, possibly found and contained until understood how to use it properly. Because Ao, the Overgod, won't allow interloper deities into realm space regardless of how powerful they were, if he simply chose to not let them. He also decided if a mortal could ascend to divinity. If he didn't allow it, it simply couldn't happen. Now, I don't know how it would work when ascending outside of realm space, but I would assume there is some risk involved that Vlaakith might struggle with, especially since we know that an Overgod like Ao has the power to completely revive a dead deity and return them to a world sphere, meaning that the one in the void might have a chance of waking up. As for how to open the artifact, that is a little more tricky. Thinking about how we recently got Infernal Script made canon and saw its use in Astarian's Backscars, I wondered, was there ever a Githyanki alphabet created? During my digging, I discovered that back in 2003, the 100th issue of Dragon magazine had a lengthy supplemental campaign all about the Githyanki called The Lich Queen's Beloved. In it, we got a pretty low-res image of a tablet with a conversion of our letters to their letters. Although it was a bit of a struggle to figure out at first, the few examples that popped up in the campaign really helped to confirm what I was deciphering was correct. And to my surprise, my guess was spot on. The artifact in-game is covered in those same Githyanki runes. I found out that the Githyanki use their writing system in radial circles instead of lines like we do, with each letter having a line protruding down and connecting in a circle. Lore-wise, their society used these runes for wards and spell work as well. After clearing up the rune conversions and recording all the symbols I found on the artifact, I came up with only one conclusion. Larian tried really hard to make sure no one could figure this out too early. Down the line, I'm willing to bet this might turn into some sort of puzzle for us. If not some kind of Rubik's Cube, then possibly a decipherable password. In general, when the artifact isn't glowing, some runes look normal and some don't. Some look like a mashup of two letters and some look fake. Mapping out the unlit runes is pretty much all gibberish, until I noticed that when the artifact is glowing, the runes change. It's a trick. I think we have to look at what is glowing and not what is carved, but the sad thing is, in-game we currently only have a few seconds of one scene where this thing is actually glowing. One example is this panel that is carved as a rune for W, but when glowing, it only partially lights up, creating the new rune for F. Now, I might be looking way too much into this, and this just might be a lighting anomaly because it's still early access, but I feel like I'm onto something here, and I'm pretty excited to see what this thing actually becomes. Because if it's the Queen's weapon, and it was stolen by Lithids, that means it's bound to be something very important. Thank you for listening, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to click the like button and sub to the channel. If you have any wild theories about this box or anything to add about what I talked about, drop a comment down below. I'd love to see your thoughts on the matter. Until next time, stay safe out there.